What's up, everybody? You're now listening to Rock Chop J-Hawk with me, J-Hawk, a podcast brought to you by the Field of 68 Media Network. Make sure you rate 5 stars and review and hit the subscribe button on iTunes or anywhere else you get your podcast from. All right, the next guest on the pod played in 2 back-to-back Final Fours for the Jayhawks, was the winner of the 2004 James Naismith Captain Award. He's currently the man of the hour, been through the D-League with the Santa Cruz Warriors, doing some stuff with the Golden State Warriors. Welcome to the podcast, my brother from another mother and an original member of the J5, Michael Lee. Hey, what's good, fam? How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
Man, thank you for having me. That's a heck of an introduction, man. I didn't expect all that, but you sure did make it sound good. But no, man, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk. You know, I like to run my mouth since, you know, we were teammates. And unfortunately, I had to room with you my freshman and sophomore year. And that was, you know, we got a lot of stories behind that. But anyways, happy to be here, man.
Hey, thanks, man. Well, hey, let's just hop right into it, man, because I was literally just telling Heather a story, man, and this is off script right now. Hey, well, because you talk about rooming with me freshman and sophomore year. Hey, do you remember the Maui trip when we switched your Gatorades out, the red Gatorades?
Come on, I don't forget none of that. Don't say we, say names. Put all the names in it now. Look, we had a conversation. Would you all finally come clean and say y'all used to torture me?
Mike, man, nobody tortured you, man. You always normally brought it on yourself.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. And you know, as I've gotten older, I realized some of the errors in my ways, and I'm still growing. But if you can for a second, tell me why I deserve for my Gatorades to get taken.
I said we. I didn't say who though, man. Like, you know, me and A Mouse was just sitting in the back, man, trying to watch.
Yeah.
We found out what happened to your Gatorade. For all y'all that don't know, Mike, Jayhawk Nation needs to know this, man. Don't ever serve Mike Lee a red drink. Mike, you drink anything red now to these days?
No, I have when I'm real thirsty at times, but I still just nothing red. No straws, no red drinks, none of that. No pink spoons, no red spoons, none of that.
Hey, so for Jayhawk Nation that doesn't know, we went to Maui trip, and I mean, everybody on the team knew Mike Lee did not like to drink anything red Kool-Aid, red Fanta, red soda, red Gatorade. So we got onto the plane, headed to Maui, and we all had like little gift packages with Gatorades in there. Everybody had their own Gatorade, different flavors.
Can I add some context real quick? Can I add some context to that? So basically what he's saying is every time we got on the plane, our food was already in our seats. We had our assigned seats and your food was already there. So whatever was there was yours. And so the managers, if the managers put the food there, they knew that I didn't like red Gatorade. So they would put anything other than red in my seat. But when I would get to my seat, somehow I always have red Gatorade. Jayhawk, you can finish your story.
Hey, so back to my story. When I say we put red, you're right, the managers. So it must have been a mix-up. Mike. They must have said, hey, Mike supposed to be sitting in seat B12, but we accidentally put the red in B12. So Mike had a red Gatorade sitting on this chair. Didn't want to drink it. For some reason, you know, A Miles and I, we just laugh and he blames it on us.
For some reason. And you know what's funny though? So I hope everybody knows I can laugh now. We wouldn't laugh about this. This would almost turn into a fight, literally. Because they knew they would just bother me on purpose and they knew they could get to me. So and Hawk would do the same thing he's doing now. He would throw his hands up and say, it wasn't me. And then Aaron would say, well, it wasn't me. You know, that's how it went. So,
hey, the long story short, though, Mike, the punch was you tried to trade rooms when we got to Maui because you and I were roommates. You tried to trade the rooms And Coach Williams was real strict at the time. If y'all don't know, he was real strict about players rooming with certain players. And he had Mike and I on a trip together in Maui. And Mike tried to get out of that. Remember that, Mike? And right as Mike got out of it, Coach Williams heard that somebody was changing rooms. Was like, no, everybody keep the same rooms.
I was so mad. Huh? What'd you say?
Feels so good.
Oh, man, that's funny. I did. And just so we're clear, I love Jayhawk. I did not want to room with him. I did not at all. And it didn't change how I felt about him. Because Hawk was he just does enough to make you know he did something, but you can never prove nothing. That's what he does. He gets you right to the grave. Then he throws his hands up, and the whole building is burning down. He's like, what? I didn't do anything. That's Hawk for you. So, anyhow, man, good times.
You know what we got to do, man? It's going to be my goal to try to get the whole J5 on here, man. And just, I'm sure it won't be it'd be a funny podcast, entertaining, because it's going to be a roast session, man. You imagine Aaron Wayne all in here?
I can't even imagine. That would be fun, though. That would be a lot of fun. There's too many stories. We run out of time talking.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's kind of hop into this year's squad, man. We'll get a little bit on a serious note. You know, they were able, the Hawks were able to prevail last night, only shooting 3 from 16 from the three, and that was with Ocha, Christian, Wilson, you know, not having the best shooting night. But what do you think they need to do in order to continue to win games without shooting great from the 3-point stripe?
Man, well, I mean, in the most simple way to answer that is you got to play defense, right? You got to get stops. But I think it's not that simple. Though. It's not, just get stops. It's like, how do you get the stops? But I think, you know, you really got to be a good defense, a team defensive team, team defense, and I would say control the boards. And then you got to find a way to get easy buckets. Maybe you need to play faster, get out in transition, and just find ways to get everybody else involved. Because, you know, when you start playing like that, everything's, you know, becomes open. You get the ball off the rim and running fast. Now everybody's energy is up. It's more positive energy. Defensive energy increases, and now defense turns to offense. And that really changes the pace and the outcome of the game. So. Yeah.
So that's a great point. And obviously Jalen Wilson, I mean, been great this year, leading the team in rebounding right now on the squad. What do you think the bigs need to do? And not just obviously Jalen Wilson, but what do you think the bigs need to do in order to continue to stay active on the glass?
Man, it's a jungle. I mean, the bigs, I don't think they don't get enough of the credit because what they do is not the sexy part of the game, but you know, you got to be physical. And then I think bigs, you know, in some ways you need to quarterback the offense because a lot of times they're at the rim, so they're the eyes and the ears. They can see everything. So being big-time communicators, for sure, is a huge one because naturally they should see everything. You know, protecting the rim, trying to guard without fouling. Those are all key things that where bigs, I think, have kind of I don't want to say the exclusive responsibility, but if they can do those things, it's highly, it's light. It's highly attractive. That's a good characteristic for bigs. So.
For sure. And obviously, KU, I mean, that was senior night. That was a 38 straight win on senior night. Do you think it's just something, obviously, and they came against a great Baylor team who's been a little bit down, obviously not being able to play over the course of weeks, being able just to play against Iowa State due to being quarantined because of the virus. But do you still think that the Fieldhouse gets a little bit better on nights like that when it's senior night in a pandemic as well too, with not 6,300 fans as well?
16. I absolutely believe so. I know it sounds corny and I got all the bias in the world, but that 6 man is real. You get some juice, something. You know, I always tell people, like, coming out of that tunnel, just coming out of the tunnel, it never got old. From freshman year to see you get them chills. And we get up for it. So, absolutely. Sorry, my screen jumped. But no, absolutely, for sure. It has to. It has to. You know.
So, what do you think the team's ceiling for the postseason? Obviously, winning the last 4 to 5 games, a good little stretch moving forward. What do you think the ceiling is for the squad?
I don't know what I think the ceiling is, but I think the best way to get there, as you know, we play deep into the tournament every year. At this time of year, it's all about team. Yeah. Whoever you are now is who you're going to be. We don't need nobody doing anything else. Just play your role and be like absolutely great at it. Yeah. I remember going to the tournament and Keith Langford, he was our guy. Freeze was the scorer. It wasn't Michael Lee's turn when we was in front of 40,000. And at times I tried to do some stuff, and rightfully so, I got subbed out. But I think this time of year it's just about surviving advance. It's just survival together. Like, you really got to stay together. Every possession counts. All that cliche stuff that coaches say that a lot of players take advantage of, as did I as a player. In that tournament, we start coaching each other. Like, man, we got to get these box outs. Man, we got to set that screen. We can't mess up the play. Like, that's a collective thing. And so Aaron was our leader. Aaron obviously was our leader, but everybody did their job, from Wayne to Moody, and I'm jumping around the teams. But with JR there, I don't want to say names. I know I'll leave somebody out, but you get the point.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so, and Coach Self, he always finds a way to win those big matchups over top 10 teams. If you had to take one thing about how he prepares his teams for big games like that, and include even in your coaching style, what would it be?
Say that again. Say that one more time. If I had to take one big thing from Coach.
Yeah, and how he prepares his teams for those big games.
What I appreciate now that I didn't appreciate as a player is he gave us a lot of information. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, this is too much. Well, you can look at it that way, or you can look at it like he was really trying to prepare us. Like, he gave us the answers to the test in that sense. And so that was, I felt like he really does, I think, coach, and I think he's brilliant at it, but he flatters himself on his ability to make adjustments. Like, okay, they want to do this, we'll do this. They want to do this, we'll do this. And so adapt, put it into my own style, just, making sure guys know thoroughly, like, I have to be able to count on you. Outside of your individual talent, that has its place. But outside of that, you got to be able to be counted on. And Coach really did. He never lowered the bar on that. And he would let you know if you did not know. He would you better be playing good, because if you playing bad and you don't know, it's gonna be a roast session.
Hey, and obviously you played for two great Hall of Fame coaches, and very few number of players can say they played for two Hall of Fame coaches at KU, because it's not so many coaches that run through there. From your perspective, how are the coaching styles different? And I know you hear this a lot between Coach Williams and Coach Self, and everybody want to hear that. Everybody loves to hear that. That's the question I get asked most, man.
That's a great question. I think there's so many differences, and now I'm like, oh shoot, I got to give the politically correct answer, right? But in all fairness, like, I'm glad you said both Hall of Fame coaches. And I'll say this before I talk about it, but I remember Brett Ballard told me, who's a great coach. He said, Mike, I'm just learning there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's what you realize. We had a lot of success with Coach Williams' style, a lot of success. And I think the, Jayhawk Nations was kind of worried, oh, he's leaving, what now? Well, Coach Self came and did it his own way and was highly successful at it. He took it all the way to the top in 2008. And so I think that speaks to their individual brilliance. Now, saying all of that, I think the communication styles was different. Both had the high level of expectation, but how that was communicated was totally different. I think the type of players that were recruited were different. So they had different recruiting philosophies. Obviously, it was a different time. When Coach Self came in, he asked me to do a lot more with the ball. I was a ball handler as I was a guard, but I wasn't a confident ball handler. When Coach Self got there, it's like, Mike, you got to be able to put it on the floor. We doing L-cut, pull through baseline every day, spin back middle. And my game did mature when I got the opportunity to do it. Now, saying all that, when I messed up, he was still getting hold me. But I love you, Coach. But no, and then, I say that because, I remember Coach Williams, everything was about the system. You run that system. And that's no knock. Like, we didn't do a lot of player development stuff. We had our run and shoot days. You come in and get your shots up, you run a little bit, you go home. With Coach Self, there was more put it on the floor. I think more creative. I think that particular style, coming off the pick and roll and bouncing the balls, that's what a lot of guards are asked to do now at the NBA level. But you can't knock that system that Coach Williams has perfected either. I mean, we saw just recently, he just got to 900 wins? Yep. So there's something to be said about it. But, to each his own. If I had a chance now, I would honestly say I would try to merge Coach Williams and Coach Self philosophies together, because their individual genius collectively is, imagine that. So.
Hey, we'll get back to the show in a minute. But first, let me tell you about our partners over at DraftKings Sportsbook. With March Madness beating down our door, DraftKings is the best way to get a little action in on the game. If you haven't downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app yet, what are you waiting for? It's the safest, it's the most secure, it's reliable, and it allows you to safely deposit and withdraw your money at your own convenience. And this week, they're offering all of my listeners a pretty sweet deal. If you sign up now with the promo code FIELD68, you can turn $1 into $100 if one of the main event fighters in UFC 159 this weekend lands a single punch. That's it. One punch turns $1 into $100. And don't worry, if MMA isn't your thing, DraftKings Sportsbook offers odds and promos on basketball, hockey, or whatever sport you're watching. But since they're basically giving $100 away, you might as well sign up now, watch a little UFC, and remember to use promo code FIELD68. Again, that's FIELD68. Must be 21 years or older. Offer available only for a limited amount of time. Eligibility restrictions apply. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And you had also a chance from a coaching standpoint. You mentioned that 2018, like from a coaching standpoint, from the mind of a coach, and obviously you being an international scout for the Warriors, player development specialist for the Warriors. What did you get most from that 2008 year, just sitting back watching, being a coach? Like, how did that kind of evolve you into the coach and the player development guy that you are today now?
Wow, that's a great question, man. And it's funny because at that time, I was fortunate to be a part of it, but I'll honestly say I was oblivious to a lot of what was going on. Like, I wish I knew what I knew now, because I would really maximize that situation. I spent a lot of time with Brett Ballard, and from an organizational standpoint, without B. Bow, I wouldn't have the organization now. I watched Brett say, "No, Mike, do it like this. Organize it like this." I was doing a lot of film and some of the game exchange and, cutting some clips using the XO system. So I think it just really opened my eyes. It gave me a kind of a baseline. I was kind of wearing a lot of hats. I got into the practice planning component of it. So I saw the thought process that goes into practice planning. I saw how roles and responsibilities were delegated. So then I saw the true value of an assistant. Now I got behind the wall, and now I got to see, okay, the type of work that Coach Townsend really put in, the type of work really. And think of the coaches we had around us. I'm talking about Coach Self and Coach Williams, but you think of the Steve Robinsons, the Joe Dooleys, the Ben Millers, the Joe Holiday, Norm Roberts, Tim Jankovic, and even and think about the value of this, right? So now as a scout for Golden State Warriors, all of those names I just called, these are guys I can call on right now if I want to, get information on a player. So that was I was very fortunate in that regard. That definitely has a connection to what I'm doing now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, those connections, man, they run deep, man. Hey, so talk about this. Obviously, coaching with the Santa Cruz Warriors, got to coach with your high school teammate, best friend, and Aaron Miles. Like, talk about that experience, man. Like, how cool you guys grew up together, played together, went to college together. I mean, like, you guys have been pretty much together for a big chunk of your life, whether it's when you guys were a youth to college to now. Like, talk about that relationship with A Miles and just how cool it was to be able to kind of ride that ride together the way you guys did.
Man, it was that's when I think about that, it's funny. Like the older I get, the more I appreciate it because man, it's so cool. I don't think you could write a better story. Again, I speak with a bias, but I grew up with Aaron. You know, he lived a block from me. Everybody that knows us knows the story, I believe. But you know, my father even coached his father in college. You know, his father and my father were our first coaches in baseball. We started in baseball when we were 7, and then that transitioned in 3rd grade to the first organized basketball team we were on. So, and now you fast forward now, I'll make it short. You know, every part of my basketball experience, Aaron has been there the whole way. Think about that, like the whole way since I started playing. You know, being able to play college with high school basketball with him, being able to play college ball with him. So my on the court success and off the court is directly attributed to Aaron too. You know, Aaron, I got to shoot a lot of shots in high school, but Aaron was my assist guy. You know what I mean? And so the best assist, I shouldn't say the best assist because the true value of Aaron doesn't even show up as a player. And as you know, and a lot of people know, he's a better person than he is player. But one of the most significant assists he ever gave me was when he got hired as a Santa Cruz head coach. He brought me in. There it is right there. You know, I could do a lot of talking about where I've been and who I coach with. Without Aaron Miles trusting me and putting my name on there, I wouldn't be sitting here. And that's not to discredit anybody else who had a hand in, you know, helping me, you know, go on this journey. But Aaron has been in my basketball. I can't write a book about basketball without putting Aaron in almost every single chapter right now. You know, and so to be in Golden State, to go from the University of Kansas with my best friend, Kansas, that, you know, I'll say it's the highest level of college basketball. And then to go to Golden State, a world championship organization with my best friend, you know, it was I'm fortunate, man. But you know Aaron and you know me. So we do bump heads, but it's nothing. It's just nothing. Aaron just knows me. He knows me. So we had a lot of fun though.
Man, you said something, Mike, and I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna put you on blast in a good way, man. You talk about Aaron, man, being an assist guy, giving you that assist to Santa Cruz, and assist, just giving you assists your whole life, man. And you know Aaron, he's smart. Aaron's smart. He ain't gonna throw that ball to that guy unless he know he can do something with the ball. Yes, and that's just that just goes to show who you are, man. Like, Mike, you a stand-up guy, man. I love you, man. J5, you one of the realest dudes. You one of the most loyal dudes. Your heart is bigger than mostly anybody I come in contact with, man. If you talk about a guy who cares more than people other than himself, it's you, man. And like you can, and that's the type of guy you are, man. You give all that credit to Aaron, but if you're not the type of guy that you are, like, I mean, I don't want to trust you as a friend. My Aaron don't want to trust you in, and that's just the type of guy you are, man. And it goes even deeper than that because Mama Lee and Commander, man, raised you well, man. I love your parents to death, man. And you just come from a great background, man. And you got a great story, man. And people need to know, Mike, how I just feel like you always talk other people up, man. You never gonna talk yourself up, man, but I will, man. And you're a great dude. You've been a great teammate. You've been nothing but a great friend throughout my whole entire life. I will say, when you guys first got on campus, though, man, me and Wayne, me and Dub was sizing you and A Mouse up. on Tuesday.
Look, man, that was so much fun. I didn't even know what was going on, man. I was just happy. God, that was the funnest time. Wayne had the Z71 off road, and we was everywhere on that campus. But I remember, I still tell people to this day, I'm like, man, there's a dude named Jeff Hawkins that a lot of people probably just don't really know about, but how talented he was. I remember getting there like, man, Hawk talented. Hawk can jump, Hawk can run, Hawk can shoot, dribble. You was confident. You could D up. So, and then Wayne, Wayne is a walking bucket. And I had met Rain through Aaron prior to that at the McDonald's All-American game. Yep. So I'm just there. I'm at Kansas like, man, I'm just happy to be here. But nah, we had a lot of fun. And then me and you that freshman year when I wasn't playing.
You got to tell some stories, though, Mike, about, because you remember that your freshman year, my red shirt freshman year, like, you knew that neither one of us was getting on the court, man. Let's talk about that the Roy Williams era. Remember the plus? Hey, talk about the plus point system, bro. Remember?
Don't make me do this. Don't make me do it. You know I tell the truth. Now you know I tell the truth.
Hey,
I didn't like the plus points. I didn't like the plus points. The plus points, I appreciated it. Don't get me wrong. I understand the concept behind it, but you don't get plus points unless you play. That's where you get your points at. And so what happens is. So in the plus points, for those who don't know, it's just a fancy way of saying it was an incentive base. If you do the things you're asked to do, you get these plus points. These plus points can then be used in practice to maybe get out of a sprint, right? If you got 3 plus points and we run a sprint called a 33, you can put your hand up when it's time to run. You don't have to run that 33. They deduct your plus points like this is well kept. This is very, 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 this is a very, very important thing to anybody who's ever played at KU and out in North Carolina. Oh, man. And so, but you don't get plus points unless you play. So freshman year is me, Jeff Hawkins, Chris Zerby, Todd Kappelman, Brett Ballard, Lewis Harrison. I hope I'm Jeff Carey. We're all on the red team. Red team is a fancy word for you're not playing unless these guys go bad. And so the other half of that team was Jeff Boschee, Kurt Heinrich, Nick Collison, Wayne Simeon, Aaron Miles, Keith Langford. They're only the number 1 team in the country. Like we were the number 1 scoring offense, most points. Like we have no chance to beat them, nor do we have a chance to play. But when we get back to practice and it's time to run, all of those guys are plussing out of their running. And the players who are not playing, one of which was me, I had to run. And I'm like, this doesn't – how do I even get out of this? But I will say I look back, man, it grew me up because it's like you get to the point – and I'll say this about myself. I wish somebody would have just told me, Michael, just shut up. Just shut up. You're just talking. You're just complaining. But every now and then I knew who to go to, which one of my teammates to go to get that extra push to be me. Yeah, I ain't going to say no names.
Hey, that's hilarious, though, because when you talk about the plus points, man, like Nick and Kirk, obviously, they were juniors and seniors, depending on what year. They had like 200 plus points. Hey, and we had like, hey, Mike, we probably had like 7. And that's because coach would say, we get 10 plus points, we get like a 20-point lead against them in practice. And if we could come out with the win, we get 10 plus points.
Hey, well, listen, can I talk about that, please? That was one of the funniest things. So everything was competitive in practice, which is how it should be. There was always a winner and loser in everything we did, but it was always separated from your top 7 and 8 players and the guys that don't play. Me and Jayhawk were on the scout team, which means we didn't play a lot. But if we won in practice, we didn't have to run, right?
Yeah.
So that means myself, Hawk, Zerby, Todd Kappelman, and Brett Ballard and Lou, we got to beat the number 1 team in the country. But here's the thing. Here's the catch. This might be the funniest thing. The catch to it all is if we beat them in practice, now practice is bad. So now coach is mad that we're beating them, so there's no incentive for us to win. There's no incentive. All we're there to do is just run until you drop, and that's it. Remember the Colorado game they subbed us in? We was like 30. We was up by like 30 with 3.5 minutes left, and we almost lost the game. They subbed us in too early, and it just wasn't – the shots wasn't falling. It's a little harder. It looks easy from the bench. But once you get on that floor, it's way different, man.
Hey,
that's
Colorado,
funny.
Man, we had that gut we call it a gut check, but everybody that came before us called it a baby gut check. Like, man, that was just a minor gut check. That wasn't no real gut check. But man, that was tough.
That was no funny. And I do want to talk about, if you don't mind, about Kurt and Nick, because you brought him up. But I always say, man, Kurt was the best player I feel like I played alongside of, and not just for what he did on the floor, but the way how I saw him work. And the thing about Kurt, you remember, like, you couldn't talk to K. Rich after a game. If we lost, he always sat in his seat in the back, and you couldn't. He wouldn't talk. He would not say a word at all. You knew he was mad, and it's like, stay out of Kurt's way. Don't mess with him. Don't mess with him until he come and say something to you, and then he cool again. But that's what I want to say about Kurt. Now, on the other hand, with Nick, I take nothing away from Nick. McDonald's All-American. I mean, all of that, All-American KU. But Nick, what I would say about Nick was the best teammate, right? Nick was always the one to say, he would always tell me we was running, he'd be like, Mike, it ain't going nowhere. You just got to do what you can do. You'll be good. Like, Nick was that dude.
Yeah.
Nick had the wood grain my freshman year. He was my host on my visit. Nick was like kind of almost like the father figure, man. Nick would put on his headphones before the game and rap Biggie. He would just sit there and just rap Biggie the whole time. He wouldn't talk to nobody before the game. And I want to say he would eat a pack of Starbursts. But it's funny because I would watch them dudes. I would watch them every day. And I remember in the summers, I think Kurt might have been the first player that I saw come back in the summer. He would carry them jugs of water around, the big milk carton jugs of water. He would drink his water, and he would go do extra work in the weight room. And I saw him do it. I saw Kurt, and then you saw that run he went on, like with Kurt and Nick. You couldn't ask for two better teammates, like older vets to kind of, lay the foundation. That was great. And then we were able to grow up, and hopefully some of the ones under us, Case is still there, JR and Omar, Russell, man, so many more talented guys. And that's the gift, really. That's really the gift of Kansas, right? When you go through the eras, like we can talk backwards, like you said, Nick Bradford. Remember, Nicky Bees would be back. Steve Woodbury would be back. Jock Vaughn would be back. Those were some of the best experience I had as a player. In the offseason, I remember going to the gym. They'd be at an off-site high school gym, and we in there getting work with Jock Vaughn, with Steve Woodbury, like those guys, nothing but respect. Danny Manning, you talking about the GOAT. Danny used to come out there, loosen up with some cream and a couple man balls, and Danny would go out there and destroy everybody. Danny would set illegal screens. He would take cheap shots. But Danny, they never lost. Him and Wood never lost. Him and Woodbury. Actually, now Wood would get mad if I tell the truth about what I used to do to him in the summer. So I'm going to leave Wood out of this one. I was going to say something. I won't. And I do want to say, thank you for saying everything you said about my family. My mother and father, they still talk about you and your family too, Hawk, and Wayne, Mrs. Simeon, like they had the best time of their life just watching us. And it's so cool because they still communicate. They still communicate. Yeah. And all they talk about you, man, they talk about us.
They talk about us. Man. Hey, man, we were that J5 though, man, you know how tight, man. We had a lot of fun. That's why I be so, man, I want to try to get everybody on, man, because we did everything together. Like from when we first stepped on campus for summer school, we did everything together.
Oh man, I can't talk about it. Remember the classes? Remember we in class? There was dudes who had pillows in class. I mean, I ain't gonna say who, but dudes was bringing pillows to class and sleeping behind the back row while we're watching. You remember man, I can't even. We had fun.
That's all we gotta get. Hey, we gotta get everybody on here for just the ultimate roast session, man. Here you go, man. 15, 20 years down the road, hey, here we go. Stories come out.
And nobody's going to tell the truth. If you tell a story about me, it's a lie. If I tell a story about you, it's an absolute lie, but I'm going to make it sound good. Remember going to Miss Eves? We used to go to Miss Eves.
Man, hey, that was
we would get, I can't tell the secret.
All y'all listen to Miss Eves. That's the cafeteria spot, man. That was a spot, bro. We were always like, hey, y'all trying to go to Miss Eves? Trying to go to Miss Eves?
Remember the KU basketball camps? Remember when we thought we was gonna work both shifts?
Hey,
we can't talk about the money.
oh,
But remember we
hey,
thought we was gonna
for a
work
second, I was
both.
like, all right, man, all right, man. Let's we'll say that for another time, and we gonna keep it moving, man. Hey, hey. So when was the last time you were in the field house watching a game?
Just recently. I don't remember the date actually, but I was fortunate to get in town. We played Oklahoma State at home.
Yeah,
and I was at that game. Yeah.
So obviously you know how the field house is. You used to being in the field house, 300 fans. What was it like being in that building with only 2,500 fans?
It wasn't nothing like I remember. That's funny. You coming from Kansas where, from what I know, we've sold out every game since that field house was built, right?
Yeah.
That's the legend. Like that. And so I've only ever seen that place like that where nothing was going on. So to see it like that during the actual game, even though it's obvious why, it just was kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just like, it didn't carry the same energy, but it's hard. I can't imagine playing in cold now. The game gets kind of you're almost on a day-to-day. Things is changing so much. We complained about the little changes we had for nothing. So I couldn't imagine, trying to be a coach in this and really galvanize young kids who you got 12 players, you got 12 different personalities that you have to manage. And I think that's one of the most, I would say, understated things because it doesn't get talked about enough. But like managing personalities, how I was, how Keith was, how you were. That's just as important as the X's and O's.
Hey man,
every day I was working.
Williams and Coach Self a text right now and say, "Hey man, I just want to appreciate you for working with me and being patient."
I'm so glad they just didn't get rid of me because I was just sitting there. I always had a complaint. It was always something I was going to find. But you remember, I don't know if you remember this, when I used to, and I'll put this one on me. I ain't going to put it on nobody else. But I used to have them. I said, I'm going to stage a practice. We're going to stage it. Because Coach Self would always say, if you guys come in and work hard and play hard, we don't have to practice. We don't have to go. If you guys come out here in the first 20 minutes and run around and go as hard as you can, we can be done. So what he was saying was, it's your fault that you guys are out here for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's our fault. So I'm like, all right, I might have had a conversation with Jeff Graves, like, hey, we can stage this. In this drill, you're going to dive on the floor. I'm going to dive. Jayhawk, you're going to scream. Like, I was trying to figure that out. Now, and then you remember, see, you was always my guy. You was always right around me. Because remember our freshman year, so Coach Williams would put the conditioning, whatever you have for conditioning, meaning running, that's just running. Whatever running you had to do, you knew before practice on that practice plan, and he would post it every day. The first thing me and Hawk looked at, and the only thing, was how much running we had to do after practice. And that determined how we felt walking into practice. It was like 33, 33, 44, 44. We knew we didn't have no plus points. I'd be like, man. And I tried hard to be happy, but I couldn't. I just did not look forward to that running. But it made us, look what it made us, though. Look at what it did.
For real. It made you have to, at some point, dude, just get through it and man up and suck it up. Hey, Mike, remember one thing that used to get on your nerves when we used to have to do, for conditioning, we do our 33s for the test, 10 33s. And I'd be like,
12.
Or 12, my bad, 12. Yeah, you're right, 12. Hey,
I know what you're going to say.
The South era. That was under Coach South. We had to do the 26, the 30 suicides. And I'd be like, hey, how many more left? How many more left? They used to get on your nerves, man, when I be stretching.
I used to say, Hawk, shut up. I don't want to hear no bad news because whatever it is, we could have had one left. I didn't want to hear nothing. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to think. All I used to do is just lean over and just I used to really try to concentrate on my breathing because I'm like, man, at some point I'm just going to drop. And I used to just be over there breathing. Them 12, the 33s. And then Coach Self had the 30, the suicides.
No, but that's A. Miles, though, man. A. Miles used to be putting X's on it, too. We just get done with the first one, and then A. Miles to be like, All right, fellas, 29 more to go. Let's go. We'd be laughing. Hey, we'd be like, come on, man, stop doing that. But that just goes to show you 8 miles right there.
Man, he thought it was so funny. He thought it was so funny, but nah, that's what made us us. That's kind of we were all different, but we all brought something, and we're fortunate. You talk about the Hall of Fame coaches. Look at the players we got to play with, and not that makes us any less of players. I ain't saying like look at the players like that, but think about the names that you can say.
Yeah.
And you stretched into a whole other era by taking that that fifth year when we were gone. And you still got to play and bridge that gap. Who's that? Like Brandon, B. Rush,
Russell. Well, Russell was Russell was there that last year, but Mario, Brandon, who was it? Micah Downs, Julian Wright.
Yeah,
that was a little class that came in right after.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong though, man. When y'all left out, man, I was like, come on, man, what am I supposed to do?
You had to extend that all that experience. You became the vet with all your tricks. You had all the tricks. Hawk had all the tricks. I think, if I'm not mistaken, because we used to have to touch the lines every time we read, I think Hawk used to drop water on the floor and say, hey, it's wet over here, just to get an extra 5 seconds. Now, I ain't mind him for this. I never took credit for it.
We didn't have no plus points, man.
You had to survive out there. Man, Lewis, I think it was Lou Hare was the first one to say, when you can't go, you can't go. That just meant when you die, you're dead. When you die, you're dead. So don't worry about it. Just kill yourself. And somehow I would wake up and I'd be like, man, leave me sleep. Let me just break a hamstring until the summer is over.
I ain't gonna lie. Lewis said that though, man, because I remember that he's like, hey, man, when you can't go no more, you can't go. That scared me because it's like, hold on, man. Does that mean I'm going to pass out or something?
Yes. You'll know when you can't go. No, man, that's funny.
Oh,
that's
the days, man. Hey, talk about, because obviously being in the G League, talk about how the G League game is different than the college game. Can you talk about that?
Oh, it's day and night, and that doesn't mean one is better than the other, but the way the game is officiated, number one, it changes everything. The game is officiated so much different. The emphasis of the game, the language used, and everybody uses different language, but there's some terminology that's universal in the NBA that's probably not even used in the collegiate game. The shot clock changes things because the game is a lot faster. So in the NBA, you can expect for less continuity. It's not as much. I don't mean this the wrong way because the ball still has to change sides of the floor. But you see, sometimes I'm watching a college game now, and I'm like, man, this shot clock is an eternity. You don't have this much time to think. By the time you get across half court in the NBA game, I mean, you got to be into your offense and you got to be aggressive. So it really, the flow of the game just speeds you up. You look at a lot of collegiate teams as well. Usually, I mean, if you're good, you got a real strong 7, but usually you got a strong 2 or 3 guys on very good teams that really carry everything. But in the NBA, I mean, you're top down. You have talent. It's talent on the bench, right? Like even in the G League, I don't think a lot of people understand, man. There's a lot of guys in the G League. I won't put a number on it, but a lot of players in the G League can play in the NBA right now. Not being in the NBA doesn't mean you can't play there, right? You got to get picked. It's just you got to get picked, and there's not a lot of spots, but it doesn't mean you can't play there. And there are tons of guys in the G League that can go make an NBA roster right now, but, one team may want a 6'7" wing. The other team may like small guards. The other team may not like small guards. They might want a center who can stretch the floor, or the team might want a center who can who's a lob threat. Heavy pick and roll action, put it up around the rim, that type of stuff. So it all depends on what somebody is looking for. I would tell these players, you got to be good at what you do, and you got to know what you do. That you got to be good at something. Like why would an NBA coach put you in a game? If you had a chance to talk to an NBA coach and he says, why should I put you in? What do you have that makes him want to put you in the game? And that's not and I don't mean that in a nice way. Like you got to be able to answer that question for yourself and accept the hard truth. It is very much about we're going out there to win games. That's what it's about. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of coaches can take that mindset, whether it's high school, I think college, NBA. Like, why should I put you in the game? What do you do good? What do you do well? Why do I what
Yeah.
what do I want to put you in the game for? And if you can't answer that question as a player, you know, you got some soul searching to do.
Some soul searching is right. Or you can go to your coach and let the coach ask you. But it's always, I mean, it is what it is. It's always that, that back and forth between that player and coach. Minutes. Every player wants minutes. Every player wants minutes. So it's not like we look at a player and be like, oh, he has a bad attitude about minutes. It's, what do you do? How do you accept your role? And that's a lot of what I've seen at the G League level. Is just, you really got to accept your role. You really just have to accept your role. There's no, if they want you to stand in that corner, spot up in the corner. Spot up in the corner. You get paid to make threes. Guys that are 6'10", that got good hands and can run and jump, you might just need to be a lob threat. They may only ask you to be a lob threat, meaning screen, roll to the rim, catch, lob, score in the paint. Now, but what's happening now, you see a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys have trainers now, and everybody wants to showcase their skill set. And it's not, maybe your skill, you don't need to showcase your skill set right now. You need to showcase your value to get to where you want to be, and then showcase your skill set. But there's a lot of, and there's a sense, I can't pin this on one person, but a lot of young players want to, well, man, don't just make me pick and roll. I can pop too. Well, we don't need you to pop because we got 3 other dudes on the floor who can shoot. It doesn't mean you can't do it. We just don't need you to do it. And this is where I've seen sometimes there's a tug of war. Because players like, nah, man, all the players don't want to feel like they're getting held back. Like, I got to showcase what I can do, especially the G League is not a destination. Everybody's trying to move, right? Everybody's trying to go up. And so players are always on edge. Like, am I doing enough? The scouts ain't going to be able to see everything. It's a lot. You really got to be mature. And another difference is, I will say this, we did play, 30-game seasons? For the first, it's not until even I got to the G League 3 years ago that I've never took a 17-day road trip. So think about that. Like, how are you taking care of your body when you're on the road for 17 days and you might have 3 to 4 games in that time? You're not going to practice every day. How do you keep yourself ready? How do you keep your weight down when you're not practicing? This is a lot of things that I wish was discussed more at the collegiate level. We talk a lot about being a 24/7 pro. Right? And what that means is, what are you doing with your 24/7 that helps you, whether you're in practice or not? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? How are you recovering? That's the 24/7 pro. And see, guys have to learn this. It's not just talent. Because if you don't take care of your overall well-being, at some point your weaknesses are going to show up. And so what type of information are you putting in your head? Are you watching film? Are you getting extra work in the weight room? And it's not like this. There's not like this whole college where it's like this family atmosphere. Everybody's going to sit down together. Everybody's going to eat together. That's not what this is no more. And and a lot of young guys have to learn that very quick. And for the fortunate few, some of them can make that transition pretty smoothly. A lot of them can't. And so this is that's a huge gap in the collegiate game. Like, how do you even manage? You got a G League I was tired as a coach. I don't even practice. It's a 50-game season. The NBA is 82. This is 50, and I'm as a coach, I'm worn out. So all that stuff does matter. How you eat now does matter. Remember in college, we could suck down orange juice and eat big plates of bacon and grits, and I'd dump all that sugar on there. And it's go ahead.
Hey, one day you and I, man, we go get them gummy bears, man. Go get them gummy bears at Walmart, man.
So look, this is a true story. This is why Hawk is my guy. So we used to go out at night. Every now and then, like on a non-school night, we would go to the clubs. Only on non-school nights. We would go out to the club so we can come home and get our proper rest. And then, but what would happen after the clubs, me and Hawk decided that we're going to do taste tests. So we would literally go to Burger King and get a double cheeseburger. Then we would drive to McDonald's. What street is that, Hawk? Where's that, right? What street is that? Right out there off of Dillard. 23rd Street. We would go to Burger King and get a double cheeseburger, and we would say, wait. We would go to McDonald's and get the same double cheeseburger, and then we would bite into one at the same time. We'd be like, I don't know, bite the other one.
Oh, them was the times, man. Them was the times.
We wasted so much time. We wasted so much time, but we had fun, man. We had fun.
Hey, well, Mike, let's do some quick fire questions. Hey, before this, real fast. Hey, there's a couple Jayhawks on the Golden State Warriors squad. How do you think Oubre and Wiggins have improved since their days at KU?
I think they just grown up. I mean, one of the biggest indicators of improvement is just the body type. Your body grows. Some of that is, you get more. I guess you get more. You can say you get more time and attention at the NBA level, but also these dudes just grow up. You come in maybe as a 20-year-old. You could be. I'm not saying these guys are that age, but let's say you're 25, 26. You're naturally gonna fill out like a man now, right? So you see the body change. That's the biggest thing I've seen. I haven't spent much time around either one of the two. But yeah, I would say the body type. The games to me are still funny. I don't think a guy's game changed too much. I think they've been able to, fortunately, play their game at the next level. Sometimes guys you bring them in and they say, well, hey, do this, even though it wasn't natural. But I still feel like, Andrew gets the freedom as well as Oubre to do what they can do. And they're both a huge asset right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, well, let's wrap this up, man, with some quick fire questions, man. Mike, what do you miss most about Lawrence?
Dang, that's the quick fire. The fans.
Okay. If you were in Lawrence for one day, where would you go eat?
Pizza Shuttle, first thing that came to mind.
Yes, sir. Get them twofers. Hey, make sure you get the twofer so I can get one. Hey, if you could have played with one player before your time at KU and after your time at KU, who would it be and why?
Before and after? Wow, that's great. Probably, I would have to say, just because I knew how I was at that time, Jack Vaughn.
Okay.
Jack Vaughn. I was rather quiet, but I really did watch, and I listened to everything. The way he worked out, I would, study and be like, this is the model. But Jock actually came back and interacted with us. There was one time, he may not even remember, we were playing in the summer, and we had just lost the game. He's like, Mike, come on, let's run some 33s. I'm looking around like, there's 15 other dudes in this gym that ain't running, Jock. You don't have to ask me. This is in the summer, and he's running 33s after a loss. That type of stuff taught me that if I want to even think about getting to the level that Jock is revered at, I better start doing this little things like that. So I would have to say Jock, because I really did take a lot from the few moments that I think I did get around him. And he was all, we heard stories all the time from Coach Williams about how good he was and this and that. And you watch those games, that spin move he did, Jock was they said he never got tired. So for me, I would have to say Jock, because I still would have looked good with Jock. Aaron Miles was my Jock Bond, I guess, but I don't want to put that on Aaron because Aaron had his own game. But Jock would have got me. Jock would have helped me score. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, so one player after your time at KU you could play with.
Yeah. That's a great one. Dang, I would have to say, he's just my guy. Hey, this is not even fair, man. Sharon Collins, man. Yeah. My time, I just really grew a good respect for him when I was there as a grad assistant in 2008. And just recently bumped into him when I was back and we talked for a second. But just Sharon was just cool. He was funny. He was funny. And he kind of pushed that line a little bit, but Sharon just he always carried himself in a way. I'm like, man, this dude, he just kind of got it. He never really appeared to be rattled to me. He wasn't a complainer like I was like that. I'm like, man, Sharon, I think we could have got some work done together. I'd have set some hard screens for him or did something, ran the floor.
That's a good pick right there. Hey, so last one. If you could have played for one coach from the Big 12 that wasn't Coach Self or Coach Williams, who would it have been?
Can I pick my own staff, the own assistants? You should ask me who didn't I want to play for. I ain't gonna answer that because whoever I named didn't want to coach me. I know that for a fact. Whoever I say, nah. Another coach, I would have to say, honestly, at that particular time, because it always stands out, man, Kelvin Sampson, when he was at Oklahoma and they had Jabari Brown, Quantus White, Hollis Price, Ebia Ra, like they were so physical in a physical game, fit how I needed to play to feel like I could be me a little bit. So I think by the way it looked from the outside looking in, I think I would have fit in from a toughness standpoint. He always had them gritty, they would just beat us up. It was a fight. And so I think I could have played for Kelvin. And I think it looks like he's doing the same type of thing in Houston.
Yep. You could have played anywhere you wanted to, Mike.
I don't know about that. You used to try to. You didn't say that in the summers. You didn't say that in the one-on-one battles in the summer. Hawk got that smile. Hawk got that car salesman smile, but don't be fooled by that smile. Hawk is devious, man. He's devious.
The car salesman. You come take the test. You come take the test drive and you hit a bump, man. Your change just falling out your pocket in the seat, huh?
Hey, no, I'm gonna tell you too. Since we got to get off, no. But another thing Hawk used to do. This really describes him to a T. So Hawk had the car. Like Aaron ended up getting the car, but he didn't have one right away. You had one first, and Wayne had his, right? So look, we used to go on campus, right? We used to drive on campus. We weren't supposed to, but Hawk just used to. I used to say, Hawk, we should go park. We should walk up the hill like good students. And Hawk used to say, nah, man, I'm going. And then Aaron used to jump in and say, yeah, come on, Hawk, don't listen to Mike. So they never took my advice. We used to drive through campus. Hawk wouldn't stop at the, whatever you call that little thing in the middle. He would just keep driving, but he put mud on his license plate. He covered his license plate in mud so they couldn't write it down as he drove through campus. The other thing he would do, he would drive to the side where, because it's a two-way thing. He would go down the wrong way, so their back would be to his car. So by the time they turned around, he was already in the middle of campus dropping people off at Wesco. He was good, but you could always rely on Hawk. If you needed something done, you could rely on my guy Hawk, man.
You need to get right. Hey, if you needed to get picked up right outside your class, man, I was there to get you, man.
Oh man, we had fun, man. Huh? Salty. Man, we had fun, man. We had fun.
All right, well, that's it for today, Jayhawk Nation. Thanks for tuning in to Rock Chalk Jayhawk with me, Jayhawk, a podcast brought to you by the Field of 68 Media Network. Make sure you rate 5 stars, review, and hit the subscribe button on iTunes or anywhere else you get your podcast from. Mike, appreciate you, man. Love you, dude. Thanks, man. And we got to definitely come back on, man. J5 for the roasting session.
Man, love you more. Man, grateful to be here, and thanks, Hawk, man. Wish y'all the best for you and Jayhawk Nation. I don't watch as much anymore, but I'm still rooting the same. It don't change. It don't change. Jayhawk through and through.
Well, good luck in your career, man. I know you're gonna do great with the Warriors. They got a great hire in you, and it's gonna be it's gonna be fun to continue to watch and see you elevate over the next couple of years, man. Appreciate you, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, Hawk. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir, right, my man. Tell the fam I say hello, man.
Yeah, you do the same.
I will, man.
All right.